Hello paper crafters, I'm Sunny Sky and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today our project uses the Balloon Celebration set and also some paper from this Serene Scenery Designer Series paper stack. So you can see that these have natural images on one side and then patterns printed on the other. So today we're going to use a sheet of this. It's clouds on one side, but we're going to use this alternate side. And a really handy thing about our Designer Series paper stacks and also our full-size DSP is the colors that are used are right on the front. So you can always tell which colors you're using. So this is our set. This is our final card. And we do have a little strip on the inside. And so with this 6x6 Designer Series paper, I cut off two 1-inch strips. It's enough to make two cards. So I end up with two 1-inch strips. And then this part is 4 inches wide by 6 inches, and I'm going to cut that in half and get a 3x4 piece of this Designer Series paper. So the bases that sits on are 3 3/4 by 5, and then a 4 by 5 1/4. This is in Pool Party. Let me just check. Yes, Pool Party. And this one is Delightful Dijon. And then our full card will just be the standard Whisper White. And if you like to use the thick Whisper White, that gives you a nice sturdy background. I just used the standard for this one. Okay, so here are our two pieces of Designer Series paper, 3x4, and I've used the other one on this card, and then 1 by 5 1/2, and the other one I've already used on this card here. And then I've just lined this strip that goes on the inside on a slightly wider strip of 1 1/8 by 5 1/2. So those are going to go on the inside of the card. And then we have a scrap of white to stamp our balloons on. So first I'd like to stamp the balloons. And I've chosen the Island Indigo, Bermuda Bay, Pool Party, and we're going to add a little spark of color on this one with the Delightful Dijon. So the Island Indigo is a darker ink pad, and I'm going to use that for the stems of the balloons and also for the greeting. So let me pull in just a piece of fun foam here, or if you've got a Stampin' Pierce mat, that works as well. And we're going to stamp the balloon stems. I'm going to let the end of the stems come off the bottom of this a little bit because I want to make plenty of room for the balloons above that. So that's stamped in the Island Indigo. And then we're going to stamp on our scrap here some Bermuda Bay balloons and some Delightful Dijon balloons. Now this stamp set is photopolymer, and it is a bit larger set, so when it comes with 2 sheets of stamps, and I have put the printed design between the stamp case and the label. So I'm going to use the 2 solid balloons, and we're going to use the punch to punch out the balloons. So when I put these balloons on the stamp set, I'm going to line them up with the punch behind me so that they'll be in line so that I can punch them at the same time. And I'm just going to turn it where I can see this a little better. My angle is not the same as your angle, so. And then when I stamp these, I want to make sure that I'm stamping them near the edge of the paper where the punch can go up in the paper. So I'm going to stamp these in Bermuda Bay. I'm going to stamp them once, and then I'm going to stamp them off. So I'm stamping twice without re-inking, and that gives me a bolder and a paler balloon. And then I'm going to clean these because I also want to stamp some in Delightful Dijon. So I'm using my Stampin' Scrub. And I just have one side that I've moistened with Stampin' Mist spray. You also could use plain water. And then the dry side I wipe them on, and then I just have a scrap washcloth just to dry it off a little bit more. Now I'm going to do another set of balloons in Delightful Dijon. Instead of stamping right above here, I'm going to flip my paper over so that when I go to punch these out, they will line up with my punch. And again, I'm going to stamp once and then re-stamp without re-inking. Okay. And then I also have the layer with the little dots that I want to stamp It just gives a little more dimension to these balloons. And again, if I put my stamp block over the punch, get the one on here, then I can line them up, and again they should match well, so I can stamp them at the same time. Alright, so we'll do Delightful Dijon because we've got those facing. And I want to get a little more dimension, so I'm going to re-stamp this layer when I do it on the second time. Or re-ink it before I stamp it again to give it just a little bit more variety. A little bit bolder impression. When I re-stamp, clean my stamp again. And then I'm going to go back to the Bermuda Bay. And these will be really easy to punch out. We'll only have to punch them out once. Looks like I was off on alignment a little bit there, but when we punch them out, they'll be fine. I have one more set of balloons to punch here, and then we'll move on to the next step. So you see I've just lined them up and punched both at the same time. We have one more punch that we're going to use on this card, and that is this banner punch. And I'm going to punch it right out of this back layer that we're going to put on the card. I'm going to go ahead and punch out the banners. And we're going to use the layered one today. And we have the word congratulations. This is a baby card I'm making. And we're just going to layer it right on top of the label. You see that because this is photopolymer, the word comes straight, but you can bend it. And because I have this little bended banner, I wanted to add a little bit of curve to my greeting. So I've just done that. That's pretty quick and easy to do. And then we'll just layer up all our papers. This is our Delightful Dijon. And I just put a strip down both of the long sides of my card. Unless I'm doing something really extravagant, that's generally enough adhesive to hold everything together really well. And then I have the layer of the Designer Series paper that I stamped the stems of the balloon on. And I'm going to do this a little bit off center. I'm going to do it up closer to the top so that there's room to put my greeting down below. So you just kind of play with it and see which way you like the design the best. That greeting is going to be down below there. Okay, so I think I'm going to use it that way. And I'm going to go ahead and put some adhesive on these ones on the back. See, I had a bad stamp on that one before, and I just used the other kind of side of the cardstock. I love that about cardstock. There are two sides, and so you can reuse it. Now I want to give a little bit more dimension to these balloons. So I have some of our foam adhesive strips, and I also have some dimensionals. The foam adhesive strips are twice as thick as the dimensionals. So the balloons that are in the front are going to get these, and these dimensionals, and I'm just going to use the edges here to get some of these balloons. And I'll line them up. I don't remember how exactly I had this before. I do need one balloon in the middle. We're just going to pretend it's got a stem there. Let's see, I think we'll go like that. Alright, so we're going to call this balloon one of the middle tier balloons, and it's going to get some dimensionals. We'll call this one another middle tier balloon. So it'll get, again, a dimensional. And we'll call this a middle tier balloon. You could do these balloons in any color you like. You can do a bolder color or a more subtle look. If you want a more sedate card, birthday, anniversary, Lots of occasions you could use these for. Okay, and now we're using the dimensional strips that are a little bit thicker to get our top couple of balloons here. Oh, I think I want to move this one over here. Oh, he's not stuck down too much yet. He's giving me a little trouble. There we go. Yes, that looks better with that bigger balloon in the center. Okay, and then my congratulations sentiment. I'm going to cut some more dimensionals for that and place it on the bottom. And I'm just going to hide the tip of the stems there. Have some spare balloons. I can use those for another card later. And then we're just going to do the inside real quick. And these are the little strips that we have. 1-inch strip and then 1 1/8 inch strip. That's going to go behind there. And I just decided to run them right up to the edge of the card. Sometimes you do a layer and you do it a little bit shorter. I am going to leave some white, a white border on the side of the card, but the colored strip is running from the top to the bottom of the card. Alright, so there are the two different versions, one with mostly blues, except I have that little thin strip of Delightful Dijon around the outside, and then the one with a little bit more Dijon for a little brighter color, a little more contrast. So that's the card for today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and go have some fun crafting. Now I did do one final thing to this card on the left, and I'm going to do the same thing with the card on the right, and that is the Wink of Stella. These cards are just fine the way they are, but you can see the one on the left has a little bit of glitter, a little bit of subtle shimmer to it. I'm just going to create a spot where the light hits these balloons. And I've decided my light source is coming from over here. So I'm just going to make my spot up towards that corner of the balloon. And that one probably doesn't get as much, but this probably gets more. And it's just creating a little bit of clear shimmer there on that balloon to give it a little bit more sparkle and shine. So that's the card for today. Thanks for joining me. Now go have some fun crafting.